Hello everyone, welcome to Titan Academy. In this video we will do an introduction to the Titan docs. Alright, so the first thing we will do is install the Titan package for Salesforce. So I'll head over to Salesforce AppExchange. And once this loads, we will search for Titan and install the package. So my recent items are Titan, and you can search it as well. And we'll find our package, select it, and we'll hit get it now. And here you can choose where to install it. Install in Sandbox and production. My organization is a dev org, so it's production. And we'll wait for it to load. All right, confirm. And we'll log in. And I'll install for all users. Great. While this installs, let's talk about the different generation options we have here. So we're at the form settings, document generation. You can see we have PDF mapping, Word mapping, Excel mapping, Auto PDF, and Titan Sign. This belongs to the Titan Sign Academy course. Okay, so let's talk about the PDF mapping. With the PDF mapping, you have two options. You have a manual PDF and dynamic PDF. Manual PDF is used if you have a closed off PDF that you just want to add some mappings, maybe a signature, and that's a great way to use the manual PDF. Dynamic PDF is if you want to have dynamic data coming from your form or from Salesforce and you want to map it. Let's say you have an opportunity and you have products and you have 0 to n number of products, and the PDF has to grow and shrink accordingly. Dynamic PDF is a great way to use that. All right, so the manual PDF is used like so. So let's say we'll add a page and I'll find a PDF example. So let's say you have something of this sort. So it's a closed PDF, nothing dynamic about it, just fill in information and generate it. Dynamic PDF is if we switch on to dynamic mode here, we can insert any field from the whatever we brought in to the document, to the form, and we can map it directly into the dynamic document. Word mapping is a very powerful tool. You use it with the Titan add-in for Word, and you can map anything from Salesforce onto your Word mapping, and then you can decide how you want to generate it. You want to output it as a PDF, as a docs. You can have it interactive with a signature, with a barcode, you name it. Feel free to go and explore the Word add-in. We'll do a short video for each of these, explaining how to use them. And the Excel is for bringing in data to an Excel document and generating an Excel document. The Auto PDF, basically what it will do, it will take a snapshot of what you got on your form, even with multiple pages. It will just capture what you have on the form and create a PDF out of that. So let's say you had a bunch of text fields over here and repeated sections, anything, dates, anything you have on the form, even the logo and the headers, it will just capture it and generate a PDF from that. So when do you use which? So with the PDF and the Word, the differences are the Word, all the data comes in directly from Salesforce. So if all your data is in Salesforce, then always go for the Word mapping. With the dynamic PDF, you will choose it if you want to have, if you have things that live only on the form that you do not want on the Salesforce. So the PDF mapping, the dynamic PDF, talks really, really great with the form. So whatever you have on the form, let's say if we had a text box that's not in Salesforce, it's just on the form itself, and the user will fill it up on the form, it will be a very easy way for you to pull it directly to the dynamic and insert the text field onto your dynamic PDF. Another thing about the dynamic PDF, that everything here is in HTML. So if I'll take a look at the view and I'll take a look at the source code, right now it's empty, but let's add a template real quick and we'll use this template and I'll take a look at the source again. Everything here is HTML, so if you have custom CSS, that's also a great reason to use it. But the Word add-in gives you a lot of power. The Word document, very easy to use, and I would always tend to use the Word document. Alright, so I believe our Titan package has installed, and let's take a look at what it gives us. So the first thing we want to do is, so here is our package. First thing we want to do after we install our package is head over to my account. I'm just going to open this in a new window, and we'll head over to push settings logs. Make sure our Salesforce is connected. So we have a connection to Salesforce, either a sandbox or a production, but you've got to have Salesforce connection. Second thing is head over to DocGen SSO and click the save button. Before you click the save, you want to make sure you head over to the API and that you have the submission that allow API access and the submission enabled, so you can use the generate document through process builders and flows and Apex. Alright, so we'll head back to the DocGen SSO and we'll hit save. Once we get this message, we know we're ready to go. So let's head over to Salesforce and I'll show you what this gives you. So let's say we're in the contact object, and we'll head over to the edit object. So I'll go back, I'll edit the object, and we'll head over to the page layouts, and I think we're running on this layout, so I'll hit edit, and we'll head over to mobile and lightning actions. We'll look for FD generate document, and notice these buttons, one of them is a quick action and the other one is custom button. In the lightning we want to use the quick action, so I'll add it over here. And you have these buttons, the FD generate document, for any standard object in Salesforce, so account, cases, leads, contacts, opportunities. And if you want to add them to a custom object, that's very easy. I'll show you how you grab that information from. Okay, so if we head over to either PDF mapping or Word mapping, it doesn't really matter, and you head over to Salesforce button and you hit configure, we need to choose an object. Let's select this guy, and here it tells you if you want to add it to the lightning, it gives you the information on how to do it. Alright, so let's head back to our contact, and I'll refresh and I'll click the FD generate document. What will happen now, it will give me all the existing documents that I have on my Titan account. Now, how did this get here? I'll show you a quick demonstration in a minute. Meanwhile, I'll show you all the options you could do from the Titan package. So you can view directly from here, and you can see preview your document. So this instance is a Word document, so we can preview, and if I'll hit continue, it will generate the document. Or we can click the emails button, and from here you can use any templates in Salesforce and send it to your client. You have advanced options to CC, BCC, add more recipients, etc. And we have specific videos for each of these options. Let's talk a little bit about the generate. Now what the generate will do is run the push on your form. So let's say if we head back to my form here, and let's put a PDF mapping here. So we'll do something dynamic. We'll do like this. And I'll hit apply and save the form. If I'll head over to the push, and let's say I'll add an object and I'll say create an account. I'm not going to map anything, just trying to explain the point. And we'll say create a file, and we'll say and we'll map our fields. So we have, let's say, the first published location will be where you want to put it, and the account ID, if you'll have a hidden over here, record ID, whatever it is you're passing to the form, and the version data will be your PDF, etc. So what will happen when you hit generate, it will run whatever you have here with the submit action. So if you use custom action button, it's not going to run when you use generate unless you have some conditions to trigger it. But whatever you have on the generate, you create objects, update objects, whatever you got on your push, it will run when you click the generate. So if from the generate you create the document, you push it to Salesforce, you update objects, you send emails, whatever it is you're doing on the form, everything will run that runs on the regular submit. How did we get these documents to show here? So whatever is, Titan automatically recognizes whenever you have a get from an object, we recognize that that form belongs to this object, so we will automatically show it to you there. But in order for it to get there, we need to do a few extra steps. So let's leave it as it is, and I'll add a hidden, and I'll say we're on the account, so we're on the contact, so I'll say contact ID. And over here, I'll add a get, and if you use Word, that usually, and you publish it directly from the Word add-in, then it will do it automatically for you. In our instance, we'll do it manually, and I'll show you how this runs. And in the get, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to say condition contact ID equals contact ID, and I'm not going to map anything. And I'll hit apply, and I'll head back to my, let's close this, and I'll head back to my FT generate document, and I still don't see the document. The reason for this is there is another layer of decision making. You can decide which users in your Salesforce are allowed to see which document, and I'll show you how to configure this in just a second. So before we head over there is another step that we need to do on the form itself. So regardless if you're doing a Word mapping or PDF mapping, we will head over to the settings, and we will say this document is available in the Salesforce button. So if we will click, in our instance it's a contact, and we'll map the contact ID from the contact ID. Very important to map in the main hidden that does all you get. And from here you have a bunch more settings, and you can click on the question marks for everything, and it will tell you what this does and how to use it. So this is really cool. All right, we'll hit apply and save it. And if I'll head over here, we will still not see it. The reason for this is, if I'll head over to my account again, whenever you want to expose something to your Salesforce users, we'll head over to collaborators, and then choose either add a collaborator from Salesforce, and you can search your user and add it. Right now I'm already on here. Or you can add a profile from Salesforce, and you can say whatever is a system administrator, and you'll hit next. You want to give submit access to whatever forms you have. So either doc forms or doc sign forms, you can give access directly from here. In our instance, I'll add over to my already added collaborator. I'll hit next and I'll say docs intro. I'll head over to submission access and I'll say this one, please allow submit. And I'll update this, and now if I'll head back over here, my form is exposed to the button in Salesforce. Another thing to think about, let's say you have, if I'll head over here to my gorgeous PDF and I'll say, and that the same thing goes forward if you have something interactive. Right now we're viewing this guy, so let's say if we'll say preview before submit interactive mode, we'll configure and we'll say that we don't have anything mapped on the form. So let's insert the text box. And we'll do this again, interactive mode, and we'll add the text box over here and we'll say that it's mandatory, and this one the user needs to fill up and it's not coming from Salesforce. If you will hit, you'll go back over here and hit generate, it's not going to run. The reason for this is it's an interactive form and it's a mandatory field, and that input comes in from the user that gets the document. So the generate will not run since we will not be able to create the document since not all the information is there. And same goes for interactive Word from the Word in. Or let's say if your form is protected by a Smart V, again, the generate will not run since the Smart V has to be logged in. Alright, so we covered our Salesforce button generation options. Let's take a look at more options we have over here. So let's say if you want to map this, you want to generate this from Salesforce using workflow or outbound message or Apex or process builders. All of these are possible options you can use. So let's say if you want to do it with an outbound message, you can click over here, select again which object you're running, and run your mapping for your main hidden that brings in the data. You will hit apply, and then you will create a workflow with an outbound message with this endpoint, and then whenever your workflow runs, we'll generate the document. Again, run the submit, and whatever it is you're doing on the push will happen. Same thing goes for Apex. So with Apex, again, select the field, hit the text box, hit the contact ID, the main ID that where you pull in all the information from, and here you can execute the document generation with the list of record IDs. We give you the FT, the hash for the form, and your API key, and if you will grab the snippet and run it, it will generate your document. And we have specific videos about this. If you just click over here, you will see how to use it. Same thing goes for process builder. So let's select our object, we'll select our contact ID, and you get the FT form hash and the FT API key. And what you can do from here, so let's say we'll head over to the process builder, and this works just the same for the flow. So if we will take a look, process builder, and let's create a new process. Let's say whenever we'll do Titan sign from contact, process builder, and we'll say our record changes, and you can have also platform event, whatever it is you want. And you can do it when it's created or edited, and add your criteria. I'm not going to add any criteria. I'm just going to say no criteria, just run my actions and save, and your action will be Apex, and then you can select, we'll do docgen, then you can select from here, you will say ft docgen, and now you will need to pass in the ft form hash, the ft API key, and the object ID. So the object ID will be a field reference. In our instance, it's a contact. It could be any object in your system, and we'll select the contact ID, and then we grab the ft form hash and the ft API key directly from here. So we'll copy this into the ft form hash in the process builder and the ft API key in the process builder, and then whenever that process builder evaluates to true, your document will be generated. And again, the submit will run, and whatever you have in your push will happen. So if you're generating a document, creating objects, updating objects, sending emails, whatever it is you're doing from the submit, it will happen. Next up, we'll cover merge options and bulk generation. So if I'll click on the FT generate document and I'll select more than one, we will see a bunch of options here. So we can generate, and what this generate will do, it will generate all these documents in one go. Or you can send via email as well, or you can hit merge, and if you hit merge, you will get an email with the merge document. So we will generate the document, combine it into one, and merge it. The same thing you can do from a list view. So let's say we'll head back to the object again, and we'll head over to search layout, and we will find our list view. Sorry, we'll head over to search layouts for classic, and we'll head over to our list view layout. We'll click this guy, edit, and now we can see that we have FD generate document lightning. We'll click this, we'll hit save. And again, this you can add on any object in Salesforce. So we'll head back to the contacts, and I'll say, please show me all contacts. And from here, we'll be able to select FT generate document. So if I'll select 3 of these guys and click the FT generate document, now whatever I will select here, it will generate for all these contacts. And you can select more than one and hit generate, and it will generate every single one of these for all the contacts we've chosen in the list. Same goes for send via email, and if you hit merge, then it will create every single document for these contacts in our instance that we have selected, and merge this document, and you will get a URL to download the merge. Another important thing to show you, that aside from deciding which object it's on, you can also select filters. So let's say if we head back to the Salesforce button, we hit configure, we can say a filter, and this thing works the same thing for word mapping. So you can say enable filter, and you can say that you want to only display this document to whatever contact last name equals to whatever, and then whomever contact the last name is this, then we will show the document. Otherwise, the document will not be shown. So whatever you have in your object that you want to create a document for, you can create a filter displaying that document for certain contacts. So a more useful way to do it is if I had a record type on contacts, and for certain record types I want to show one document, for other record types I want to show a different document. That will be a great way to use this thing. And again, you have a question mark, you'll click this, we'll explain how to use the filter at length. You can also use a custom, and then you can create a custom condition as well. The same thing is for the word mapping. So if I'll head over here to the Salesforce button and I'll head over to filter, we'll be able to filter out the objects according to whatever we have live data in Salesforce. Another way to generate the document is in a manual way. So let me just go to one of my Word forms. So I'll open Word demo and we'll select this guy, for instance. And I can see that accepts a contact ID. Let's take a look at my get. So I'm pulling in the user as well, and I'm getting the contact ID. Let's take a look at our word mapping. So we have a document here, and let's do preview before submit and auto preview, or that can also happen from whenever you click the submit. So if you tick the auto preview and again watch the question mark, it will give you all the information you need. In my instance, I'm just going to leave the auto preview off, and preview before submit we have on. Output is PDF, and let's leave everything as it is, and I'll hit apply, and I'm just going to notice that the field ID here is FLD2, and I'll hit save and publish, and I'll pass in FLD2 equals to a contact in Salesforce. So let's grab Mr. T Webb, and I'll pass it over here, and I'll hit the submit, and here is our preview of the document. So you can also generate your documents manually from within the form. So whenever you have a process, you're pulling in data, the user fills up information on the form, and then when it hits submit, you can show the document, and once it's continued, then it will submit the form and push it into Salesforce. So in my instance, on the push itself, I have an attachment created. If you're working with the Lightning platform, obviously you want to have a file. In my instance, I created an attachment, and let's take a look at the mapping that I've done here. So in this instance, the file name, I gave it a static name. You can give it anything dynamic as well. And the body is the word mapping. If we had a PDF mapping, the body will be PDF mapping. But the PDF, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So choose the one you like. And same thing goes for if we would create a file. So we'll map in the version data to the word mapping. So that will get the actual document body pushed into your Salesforce. And this is how it's done.